Good day everyone, and welcome to today's playoff round 1 matchup for the UTL Draft League between the Durham Dragonairs and the Mucha Hawluchas. Durham enters today as the 2nd seed with a record of 11-3-1, and Mucha enters today with the 7th seed, a record of 8-6-1. These two just played last week with Durham taking the win there, but Mucha has thrown controversy into that by saying they weren't really trying during that matchup and were purposely trying to throw the match so that they could face Durham again in round 1 of the playoffs, since Mucha thinks they have a strong advantage against Durham, and we'll see what that advantage actually carries as we get into this match. Durham enters today with a lineup of Clefable, Mega Gyarados, and Excadrill in the OU. Its UU is Mienshao, Arcanine, and Tornadus Incarnate. At the RU slots, it's Fortress, Rotom Mow, and Espeon. And for the NU and below, it's Drampa, Zebstrika, and Jellicent. The Z Crystal captains are Excadrill, Tornadus Incarnate, Espeon, and Zebstrika. For the Mucha Hawluchas, it's Tapu Koko, Hawlucha, and Mega Tyranitar in OU. UU is Empoleon, Metagross, and Kyurem. For the RU slots, it's Shaman, Umbreon, and Drapion, and NU and below Incineroar, Stoutland, and Kecleon. The Z Crystal captains for Mucha are Tapu Koko, Kyurem, Shaman, and Incineroar. Now that we've gone over both lineups, let's see what they actually bring to the battle and how it goes. Good evening everyone, it's Professor Griffin here, and we're ready to kick off the live match commentary between the Starfish and Mr. Mams. It's going to be the Starfish with his Mucha Hawluchas versus Durham Dragonairs. As we just went over, the winner of this one will move on to face the winner of Seattle versus Los Angeles. Seattle being the 1 seed and Los Angeles being the 8 seed. This is the quarterfinal matchup of the UTL Draft League. So as soon as they're ready to go, I'll give them the heads up that I'm all ready. And we can see the lineup we have for Mr. Mams and the Durham Dragonairs. It's Excadrill, Clefable, Mienshao, Tornadus, Therian, Rotom Mow, and Jellicent versus Tapu Koko, Shaman, Metagross, Empoleon, Hawlucha, and Stoutland. Now it's important to note there that I have been given the set from Mucha Hawlucha and the Starfish, so I do know what I'm talking about there, but I have no idea what moves or what set Durham Dragonairs Mr. Mams is running. So it's important to note it's going to be Tapu Koko is going to be holding a Shuka Berry. That's going to halve the power of ground type attacks. So it's looking good against that Excadrill there. Not going to take a whole lot from the first Earthquake, but the second one will put it within ready to KO range. Clefable, a good bulky Pokemon, and right now we have Empoleon versus Mienshao. Empoleon, a good lead here for the Starfish. And according to my notes, Empoleon is holding a Citrus Berry. It's Defiant. It also is packing Stealth Rock, which is why it's a good lead for the Starfish. So look for him to lay Stealth Rock turn 1, or possibly switch, because Mienshao is a very tough Pokemon to run against, and Empoleon is weak to fighting type moves, such as a high jump kick from Mienshao, possibly putting it within that 1-hit KO range. So really have to beware of Mienshao there. Also a possibility to switch turn 1 or lay Stealth Rock turn 1. It also knows Protect, so it could be a good scouting type to be able to scout to see, does he really go for that high jump kick? And there is the Protect. Look for the high... No, it's going to be a Drain Punch. That was possibly scouting the high jump kick. Now if Mienshao had gone for a high jump kick there, what would have happened is Mienshao would have missed due to the Protect and would have taken the 50% damage, which would have put it within easy KO range of some other Pokemon that the Starfish was running. Either way now, look for Empoleon to switch out. He's not going to want to leave it in against Mienshao, because it's going to take a ton of damage. Even though I can see that Empoleon is also running 252 EVs in HP and defense. So it's max HP, max defense. The remaining 4, for what it's worth, are in special attack, but that's really not going to do a whole lot. He leaves it in, Drain Punch taking half damage. There's a Citrus Berry, and there's a Stealth Rock. Citrus Berry, activate, restore about 1/4 of his HP. Actually, it does restore 1/4 of his HP. Stealth Rock is laid, but there's plenty of defog choices from Durham, including Jellicent, Clefable, even Rotom Mow. Not entirely sure if Rotom Mow gets defog or not. I know other Rotom forms do get defog, specifically the Rotom Wash, the washing machine. So Clefable comes out now, and Empoleon going for the Protect. Of course, it fails because Durham did nothing but switch. So now it's Clefable versus Empoleon. Clefable possibly going for a defog there. I don't have his set, so I don't know for sure. I'm guessing right along with all of you and the Starfish. But if he doesn't go for defog, possibly a Moonblast or a Calm Mind. But he is in danger of taking super effective damage from Empoleon. He doesn't know that Empoleon is possibly or not running a Steel-type move. Now I can say and tell you for sure that Empoleon is running a Steel-type move, running that Flash Cannon, so that will be super effective against a Fairy-type Clefable. Clefable, naturally bulky Pokemon. Kinda not, but he's going to return the Stealth Rock. Oh! So we have double Stealth Rocks set up. One for each side of the team. Now, of course, unlike Spikes or Toxic Spikes, there can only be one layer of Stealth Rock up at a time. Spikes or Toxic Spikes are special in that form. Toxic Spikes can lay 2 layers to inflict toxic poison on an opponent when they switch in, or 1 layer to just lay regular poison. Now we have Jellicent coming out. That's going to basically negate the Flash Cannon. Does about 10 to 11% damage, and really it almost took more damage from the Stealth Rocks than it did that Flash Cannon there. But it is going to restore some health due to leftovers. So we can see that Jellicent is carrying leftovers. Now predicting a Ghost-type move, he's going to send out Stoutland. Stoutland falls for the Taunt instead, so no passive moves coming out from Stoutland. And that's important. Well, that's kind of negated. I don't know that Stoutland is running any passive moves. I can actually see that it's running Return, Iron Head, Superpower, and Protect. So basically negating the Protect there from Stoutland. And we can see that it's also running Intimidate there due to the 1-stage attack drop on Jellicent. Stoutland, as I said, running Return, Iron Head, and Superpower. Nothing that's really going to do a whole ton of damage to Jellicent, as Return and Superpower are both negated by the part Ghost type that is Jellicent. So it won't do any damage at all. Iron Head, the only move that could inflict damage on Jellicent. So he's going to have to switch there. Switches into Shaman. Jellicent recovers about 11% there, not a whole lot. But he didn't know that Stoutland wasn't running any real attack that could damage it. Stoutland, a Pokemon that you really have to beware of its powerful attacks when it comes out. 252 HP, 4 attack, 252 defense from Stoutland. Now the Shaman is going to force the switch because being a grass type, it will be super effective against the part water type that is Jellicent. So the Rotom Mow coming out in the part grass type that is Rotom Mow, negating the grass type moves of Shaman. So it's going to force Tapu Koko to come out. A trick there, that's going to give Tapu Koko a Choice Scarf, and that's going to give Rotom Mow a Shuca Berry. So a Choice Scarf now locked in for Tapu Koko for the rest of his battles theoretically, unless he really wants to give him back the Shukaberry. But I'd imagine that Mr. Mams and Durham is pretty happy getting the Shukaberry off of Tapu Koko, because that means just a single ground type move is in severe danger of one-hit KOing Tapu Koko, especially taking that Stealth Rock damage every time it comes out. So Stoutland's going to come back out, threaten the Rotom Mow, but again, just like Jellicent, the only move that he has to damage Rotom Mow is that Iron Head. But it's more useful for the Intimidate there, taking one stage off of Jellicent's attack. And Rotom Mow trying the trick again, that would have given Rotom Mow the leftovers that Stoutland is holding, and would have given the Stoutland a Shukaberry, rather negated there. So Will-O-Wisp now coming off the Rotom Mow. That's going to burn and halve the attack power of Empoleon there. And Empoleon, risky move there into Rotom Mow. Rotom Mow carrying a grass type move, if it is, would be super effective against Empoleon. So that is a really risky switch. You're running the risk of it hitting a grass type move on the switch in, or you're certainly going to run the risk now of hitting a grass type move if you leave it in, especially since Empoleon is burned. Looking for it. It does know, according to my notes, Protect, Stealth Rock, Scald, and Flash Cannon. None of those going to do a whole lot, although it is a special attacker with the Scald and Flash Cannon. So the attack drop from the burn isn't going to really affect Empoleon or the way Empoleon fights. Just going to hit a Protect. Now the Volt Switch into the Protect means that there is no switch there's no secondary switch effect for Rotom Mow. So Rotom Mow will stay out in this battle, but I'll imagine that Empoleon, now that he's seen the electric type move, will want to get the heck out of this battle. He should be switching Empoleon. Look for him to switch it possibly into Shaman or back into Stoutland for the... Oh no, he doesn't switch! He leaves it out there, hits a Volt Switch, uses Scald, basically does next to nothing at all, but the burn is going to pick up the passive KO on Empoleon. So one big threat already off the board. So Clefable, well, Clefable's still threatened by the Metagross back there in the party that hasn't seen action yet. But now that Jellicent's out, Tapu Koko comes back out, and it's important to note Tapu Koko's still holding the Choice Scarf that it was given from Rotom Mow. So Tapu Koko, I can confirm, does know Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Dazzling Gleam, and Roost. But look for him to really not use Roost unless he's going to switch the very next turn, because due to that Choice Scarf, he would be locked into Roost for the rest of the time that Tapu Koko is in battle. So really kind of hampered Tapu Koko's ability to recover HP. But still, Thunderbolt and Volt Switch both useful here against Jellicent. And there's a Volt Switch that's going to pick up the KO on Clefable on the switch-in. So a valuable Pokemon down for Durham. But the switch now, Tapu Koko gets to switch first before Durham sends in their next Pokemon. So Durham gets the ability to see what the switch is. The switch, so the Starfish does get to switch first. As I said, it's going to switch, well, 4 choices there. Shaman, Metagross hasn't seen action yet. You also have Hawlucha that's carrying Electric Seed, and that's not hard for Durham to guess. Probably pretty obvious that Hawlucha is going to carry an Electric Seed due to Unburden and Acrobatics. And I can confirm that Hawlucha does have both. Does have the Electric Seed, does have the Unburden ability, and does have Acrobatics. It also knows High Jump Kick, Swords Dance, and Roost. But it's going to be Metagross coming out and countering the Metagross switch. Now Durham gets to saw that Metagross. What does Durham send out to counter? Possibly thinking Excadrill, maybe. Jellicent is also an option to burn. And it's really iffy. It would not be Mienshao. I highly doubt it would be the Tornadus there. Let's talk a little about Metagross. It's holding leftovers, of course the ability Clear Body, going to prevent any stat drops whatsoever. 4 HP, 252 attack, 252 defense. Max attacks, max defense. Of course the Adamant nature going to boost attack even further. Knows Power Up Punch to boost attack even further. Meteor Mash, Agility, and Hammer Arm. So look for it to possibly get an Agility out turn 1 if it feels comfortable staying in against whichever Pokemon that Durham sends out. And then you got Hammer Arm, a powerful fighting type move there. Also Power Up Punch, only 40 base power, but it does raise Metagross. It's a guaranteed boost by 1 stage to Metagross's attack. So that's important there to make Metagross even more threatening. It's going to be Mienshao. Now the fighting type moves of Mienshao immediately threaten Metagross, because they would be super effective against Metagross there. The part psychic type of Metagross does not resist fighting type moves, but he does it. It's important to note that Durham doesn't know that Metagross isn't carrying something like Zen Headbutt that would be super effective. High Jump Kick coming off against Metagross, that's a dangerous move because Mucha Hawlucha and the Starfish have shown that multiple Pokemon know the move Protect. Now, I'm not 100% certain whether Metagross can learn Protect or not, but that's dangerous going into what could be a Protect unless he knows for sure that Metagross can't use Protect. So he was safe going off that High Jump Kick, which probably would have been a one-hit KO on Metagross if Mienshao is max attack. As it is, the switch into Hawlucha activates the Electric Seed, raising defense 1 stage, activating the Unburden, which doubles its speed for the rest of this battle. Now, of course, that defense boost by 1 stage is only in effect while Hawlucha stays in. If Hawlucha ever switches out, then it loses that defense boost, still stays with the boost to Unburden, but it also loses the boost to Acrobatics as well, because it is considered to be not holding an item. But the Unburden is in effect. Now Hawlucha, as I said earlier, holding being Acrobatics, High Jump Kick, Swords Dance, and Roost, it's immediately threatening with that Acrobatics that would be a guaranteed one-hit KO. I don't care if Mienshao is max defense and max HP, boosted Acrobatics is going to be a one-hit KO from Hawlucha. And there it is. There's the guaranteed one-hit KO. So it's now down to 5 for Mucha Hawlucha and 4 for Durham. Durham sending in Rotom Mow. Now this is going to be an interesting switch because Rotom Mow is immediately, well, it is threatened by the Acrobatics there since it is part Grass type, but it also knows Volt Switch to be able to lose that, but to be able to inflict major damage. It would have inflicted even more if Roost hadn't just been used. Now the one effect of Roost is that it takes away that flying type for 1 turn. So that means for that turn when Rotom Mow used Volt Switch, Hawlucha was only a fighting type, not a flying type, so it was not super effective, didn't get the bonus there, bonus damage that is. So it only inflicted 41%, whereas it would have taken Hawlucha down into the 20s, possibly if not the teens there, and he got the switch. So it's Tornadus now. An interesting switch there. Possibly maybe thinking, well, I guess that really is one of his best options if he didn't go Jellicent, because he wouldn't want to send in Excadrill because Hawlucha knows High Jump Kick, and that's pretty easy to tell. Almost always Hawlucha is holding High Jump Kick or some similar fighting type move. Gets the stab from High Jump Kick or any fighting type, and that would be super effective on Excadrill. But Tornadus coming out here, taking the 25% almost damage from Stealth Rock, so it's already down to 76%. It would be interesting to see, there's a high jump kick, it's going to be resisted, a return acrobatics. Interesting. That means that Tornadus must not be holding any item. Otherwise, why go for it? Because acrobatics only 55 base power with an item, but it doubles to 110 if you're not holding an item. So it's a very powerful flying type move if you're not holding an item. So Hawlucha, because of the fighting type that Hawlucha is, it's taking super effective damage. Now, because it only took 40%, I'm wondering if Tornadus is actually holding an item. Because if it isn't, at base 110 power, that should have been... But then you're also taking into effect the defense boost on acrobatics. Acrobatics being a physical move would have hit right into that defense boost. So it is still possible that Tornadus is not holding an item. Because of the defense boost, it wouldn't do that much damage to Hawlucha despite being super effective. But it's important to note that a acrobatics onto Tornadus only did about 40%. So it is still within the range of a one-hit KO from acrobatics. Going for the roost, taking off the flying type, U-turn there, that's going to switch Tornadus. The regenerator part of Tornadus going to restore some of its HP, a third of it actually. Rotom Mow coming out. Now Rotom Mow threatening with Volt Switch from 60% would be a one-hit KO if Hawlucha does not roost the turn that Rotom Mow uses Volt Switch. That roost is important because, as I pointed out earlier, it loses that flying type. There it is. There's the burn. Oh, that's important for Hawlucha. That's an important drop there, going to be a half attack drop, negated by the Sword Stance. So now it's back to essentially one-time attack. Pain Switch coming out. Pain Split, sorry, coming out. Pain Split coming out there for Rotom Mow. That's going to essentially split their HP. They both have the same amount of HP now. A Roost is basically going to switch their HP effectively. And there's a Volt Switch onto a Sword Stance. That's going to KO from 81%. Of course, the Volt Switch takes place first. Tornadus coming out. I guess it doesn't know Regenerator because it comes out and gets hit by Stealth Rock, which triggers a Figgy Berry. So now we know that acrobatics will be that base 110 power. Tapu Koko, the obvious counter to Tornadus. Gonna send in Excadrill now, the obvious counter to Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko has a Choice Scarf. This is important to remember. Use Roost, so it has to switch. Stoutland coming out, the Intimidate coming out. Rapid Spin from Excadrill gets rid of the Stealth Rock on his side of the field. So no more punishments for switching. At least not for his side of the field. Stoutland threatening with that superpower that would be super effective on Excadrill. And we don't know yet what Excadrill would best do against Stoutland. Now it is powerful, but it is experiencing a one-stage attack drop. So it's probably going to be a switch here for Excadrill. Probably a switch into Jellicent or Rotom. I would not imagine that he would switch into Tornadus, although Tornadus would resist the superpower. That would be the obvious move against Excadrill, but it would be immune to both Rotom Mow and Jellicent because of their part ghost types, but it would also be immune to Return as well. But Stoutland has no reason to ever use Return in this situation. Although really, it could only punish... Return would punish a switch to Tornadus, and that would be about it. So look for a fighting type move into a Rotom Mow. Yep. The superpower. Sorry, I guess I was proven wrong there. It's neutral damage to Rotom Mow. Sorry, the ghost type move would be immune to the return, not the superpower. So Tapu Koko now coming back out. Rotom Mow using Pain Split. Going to be frustrating there. That is Rotom Mow's only form of quasi recovery. It's not a full like 50% recover like Recover or Soft Boiled, etc. It is essentially taking its HP to the same amount of HP of its opponents. Now it's important to note same amount, not same percent. Goes by the number, the actual number of HP, not the percentage of HP that is full. Now, Tapu Koko choosing to lock into the Dazzling Gleam, and not going to do much of anything there against Excadrill, and he knows that Tapu Koko is locked into Dazzling Gleam. So now Tapu Koko has to switch, or it will be KO'd by an Earthquake from Excadrill. Really, Earthquake is the obvious move here. It'll do neutral damage to Stoutland, even less because of the attack drop, but he knows that, so he's going to switch into Rotom Mow. Now Rotom Mow, an important switch in here for Stoutland, but so it'll be interesting here. Let's see what Rotom Mow does go for. Does he attempt to burn Stoutland with a Will-O-Wisp that we've seen Rotom Mow use in the past parts of this battle? We're 30 turns in, and we still have no idea who's going to win this match. A very exciting match, 30 turns in, both teams down to 4 Pokemon. Rotom Mow, Excadrill, Tornadus, Jellicent, all injured, although Excadrill, for all intents and purposes, is almost 100% for Durham, and Metagross, Stoutland, Shaman, and Tapu Koko for the Starfish for Mucha. Protect coming there, so Will-O-Wisp, as I predicted, going for the burn, but Protect doing nothing there. Now it's important to note that Stealth Rock is still up, so all of these switches for Mucha are being punished. Although, really, it's locked now into Roost. The Earthquake coming out, resisted by Shaman, knew that was going to switch, knew that Tapu Koko was going to switch because it was locked into Roost. And you never want to be locked into a recovery move unless it's a recovery move that also does damage, such as Horn Leech or Giga Drain, etc. Now there is Giga Drain from Shaman. Now because this is the first time we've seen Shaman this battle, it has the leftovers, natural curability, it knows Dazzling Gleam, Giga Drain, Aromatherapy, and Earth Power. Aromatherapy important there for Shaman, because if any of its opponents are afflicted with any type of status, burn, paralysis, poison, whether it's toxic or regular, sleep, etc., Aromatherapy will cure its entire party of any status. Shaman's EVs are into Defense, 48, Max Special Attack, 252. The rest are into Speed, 208. Now it's important to note that Shaman is in that 208 speed because it's designed to be 1 point faster than Jolly Mega Gyarados, but Durham didn't bring Mega Gyarados. So really, Speed crept a Pokemon that could be a threat, but isn't in this battle. And Koko is designed to survive an Excadrill Earthquake for 40 with that Shuca Berry, but that's not effective anymore because Rotom Mow has a Shuca Berry, but Rotom Mow is never going to use a Shuca Berry. Rotom Mow has the ability to Levitate, which negates all ground type damage. It just misses. So it will never use that Shuca Berry because Shuca ground type moves can't hit. And if they don't hit, can't reduce the damage of something that can't hit. So that Shuca Berry just going to waste of Rotom Mow, but it's important to take it away from Tapu Koko because now you're guaranteed basically a one-hit KO from a ground type move from Excadrill. The Pain Split coming out there last turn. That's going to split their HP. Trick. Oh boy. So Shaman gets a Shuka Berry, and that's going to give Rotom Mow leftovers. Rotom Mow would appreciate those leftovers a lot more than the Shuka Berry. But Shaman has a Shuka Berry, so Excadrill would be the last Pokemon you want to switch into Shaman right now, with ground-type moves resisted by the grass-type that is Shaman, and halved by the Shuka Berry. Well, I think Shuka Berry actually only halves the damage from a super effective ground-type move. So it might actually not do anything for Shaman either. Pain Split coming out on a near healthy Tapu Koko, so that's going to restore Rotom Mow's HP even more. And Rotom Mow is becoming a real thorn in Mucha Hawluchas' side here. He doesn't know what to do about it. It resists the electric type moves that Tapu Koko has, takes about 35 to 40% from the fairy type move that Tapu Koko has, which is the Dazzling Gleam. But every time he threatens with Dazzling Gleam, he can just switch to Excadrill, which resists it. It only takes probably 10% or less from Dazzling Gleam. So Rotom Mow being a real pest here. I just want to check PPs here. We can see the Pain Split at 24, now 23. Will-O-Wisp at 21, Volt Switch at 28. Dazzling Gleam again coming off twice. And Volt Switch now going to switch into someone, but not doing a whole lot of damage to Tapu Koko. Although Tapu Koko's down to 20%, 28%, taking 20% from that Volt Switch. Dazzling Gleam hitting for about 35%-ish both times. Going to send in Excadrill. Now it's important to note Tapu Koko is locked into Dazzling Gleam until he switches. So look for a switch here, and Excadrill knows that. So Excadrill and Durham knows that Tapu Koko has to switch, or else he just sacks it. It's going to be Shaman. Excadrill going to hit for 27% on Shaman. Now Shaman in danger of being KO'd from an Earthquake, but Giga Drain going to hit for some good damage there, and will restore a portion, get it out of Earthquake range, would be important there. Probably getting it out of Earthquake range. It would still be a roll, but it's probably going to be a switch here. Look for a switch into Tornadus or switch into Rotom Mow. Rotom Mow and Tornadus would both resist the Grass-type move that is expected to come from Shaman, which has already been revealed to be Giga Drain. No, instead he's going to switch and not use a Grass-type move. Tornadus there, as I predicted, is the switch in. Stoutland getting the Intimidate off on Excadrill before the switch. So Tornadus now has no attack drop, but both Pokemon are still fairly sturdy. The Electric Terrain goes away. With the Electric Terrain, the secondary effect there means that Pokemon cannot be asleep. That's all it means. Well, it also boosts the power of Electric-type moves by 1.5, but that really only applies to Tapu Koko. Well, it also applies then to Rotom Mow and the Volt Switch that Rotom Mow is packing. So both sides benefit a little from the Electric Terrain. Neither side I've seen has a move that would induce rest, or sleep, such as Hypnosis or Rest. Yes, if you try to use Rest on an Electric Terrain, that will not be effective. Neither side would take damage. Neither side will be able to recover HP from Rest. The Protect coming on there, negating the effect of the U-turn. No switch there. Look for possibly a return into this Tornadus. Although I don't know, although I can pretty well assume that Tornadus will go first. 204 to 353. Yeah. Tornadus will go first, so if he wants to switch and send out someone like Excadrill or Jellicent Rotom-Mow predicting a return, then that might be best. Of course, then a superpower coming out from Tornadus. That's the first time we've seen that. And that's going to be super effective on Stoutland. And, of course, then Stoutland going superpower right back to Tornadus. So both Pokemon now have one stage attack and defense drop. So a superpower coming out of Tornadus on Stoutland would pick up the KO first. So he's going to want to switch Stoutland out, or it's just basically going to be fodder for that Tornadus. And he knows that Durham knows that Tornadus will go first. So he's probably going to want to leave it in for one more turn, see what he can pick up with that superpower now that he's revealed it. Because he probably would get the one-hit KO, get the KO on almost any Pokemon that are in Mucha Hawluchas' party, because they're all so weak. Tapu Koko, and they're also taking damage on a switch-in from Stealth Rock. It's still up. There is no defog on Mucha Hawluchas' party. Looking through here, and no, there's not a single Pokemon that knows defog or Rapid Spin. So there is no way for Mucha Hawlucha to get rid of this Stealth Rock. And it's been plaguing him this entire battle. Every single switch, that's 10 to 12 to 15%, possibly more, taken off of each Pokemon on the switch. The Protect coming there, Tailwind into a Protect. That's a very good prediction from Durham, knowing that he gets a free turn due to that Protect. So Tailwind now going to double the speed of all Pokemon in Durham's party. Superpower coming out into the Jellicent. So it is Ghost type. Rotom-Mow, I realized my mistake from earlier. Rotom-Mow is not part Ghost type. It seems like it is. Seems like it should be. It's actually Grass Electric. Now Scald coming out from Jellicent, and that's going to pick up the KO on the Shaman on the switch-in. Tapu Koko coming out. Koko's going to be faster than Jellicent, but is a Thunderbolt boosted by electric terrain going to be enough to pick up the KO. Jellicent 112 to 240, 238 to 394. In max and a bit more speed there. So Tapu Koko going to go ahead and use Roost to boost its HP. Rotom-Mow coming in. Now here's where it's going to switch to Stoutland coming out. Intimidate comes off. A Volt Switch picks up the KO on Stoutland. It's down to 2 Pokemon is Mucha Hawlucha. This is it. This is where the battle gets, really the pressure gets on for the Starfish. He's got to make something happen with both Koko and Metagross, but doesn't know what to do. Koko's locked into a Choice Scarf, and so there's little utility there for that. Metagross coming in, going to use Agility, boost its speed. Tailwind peters out last turn, or actually 2 turns ago, Tailwind peters out. So no more speed boost for Durham's side. Metagross coming out, gets the speed boost from Agility. But what is it going to use against the Ghost type? And Scald coming out from Jellicent on the switch into Koko. Koko, what is it going to be locked into? You might think that Koko would want to continue to recover HP. The problem with Tapu Koko is once he uses Roost, he's locked into that for the entire time that he's out there. So it almost makes you not want to use it, especially if you cannot switch. You do not want to be locked into Roost if Koko is your last Pokemon. So if he uses Roost here, he knows that Durham knows that he's got 1 or 2 reuses of Roost before he switches back into Metagross. Because then otherwise Tapu Koko is just set up fodder and useless to the Starfish. So there's a use of Roost. Recover also coming out from Jellicent, although Recover, Jellicent was at full HP, so Recover not doing anything. Predicting a electric type move coming out of Tapu Koko. Roost coming out twice. Scald coming out now, that's 35%. No burn there on Tapu Koko, which is important because Tapu Koko does have Volt Switch, which is a electric type move. Now Koko uses Roost to restore back to full HP, and Jellicent uses Taunt. Now this means that Tapu Koko cannot use any more recovery moves, any non-attack move. So he has to switch. Has to. Forced to. Metagross comes out. And Rotom Mow knows that Metagross was going to come out. So this will be a very interesting move here. Will-O-Wisp coming out. That gets the burn. So that's going to halve the attack stat of Metagross. Power-Up Punch coming out. That's going to boost Metagross's attack by 1 stage. Also going for the agility then into a Pain Split. So Rotom Mow gonna boost its HP, recover, so to speak, by up to the same number of Metagross. Now Metagross also the agility, so Metagross is becoming a force to be reckoned with. Meteor Mash coming out there, not going to do a whole lot into the electric grass type that is Rotom Mow. And really that's the strongest attack that Metagross has. Because it's not going for a Hammer Arm, just going to continue to boost its attack with the Power-Up Punch. Now Volt Switch coming in there, going to weaken Metagross even further. Jellicent coming out, looking to pick up the KO and threaten either one. At this point, a Scald would threaten to KO either Koko. Well, a Scald would weaken Koko, I should say. About 40% there, so Koko already at half health. Going for the Thunderbolt, 91%. Scald going to pick up another 40%-ish. So Koko now down to 11%, and he knows he's locked into Thunderbolt now. And Koko cannot switch out from here, because then it would take the 12% damage on the switch in from Stealth Rock, which would KO it. So this battle is going to go to Durham. A very well-fought battle on both sides, as they're throwing out the GGs already in chat. A very good battle, well fought on both sides. Basically 2 uses of Earthquake from Excadrill is all it takes, because it'll pick up the KO on Metagross or Tapu Koko. If there's a switch, they'll pick up the KO on Metagross, and then Tapu Koko will fall on the Stealth Rock. So not even worth the switch. There's the Earthquake, a Thunderbolt, of course, not doing anything because Excadrill is part ground type. And here we see the Z-Power Savage Spin Out as Durham takes the match. It doesn't even matter what the differential is. As I said before, Durham will move on to face the winner of Seattle versus Los Angeles. So a very well-fought match there. GG to both sides. 65 turns. And thank you all for joining me. I'm Professor Griffin. Be sure to stop by for the next Pokemon battle here with Professor Griffin.